In today's Leeds news, McFadden signs first pro deal, Carabao Cup details, transfer update, Leeds gatecrash Joe Piroe deal, backup striking options, ambitious midfielder move, Max Wober wants to stay, Charlie Taylor linked with return, Leeds hope to retain key man, and Leeds Man United game televised. Hiya folks, Jerry here on Friday the 7th of July with your Leeds United news. Last video of the week. For this week, however, we are recording a live stream tonight, which will go out tomorrow on YouTube and on Spotify as well. That will be a weekly thing going forward. Sometimes it'll just be me, sometimes it'll be guests, sometimes it'll be some of my mates that jump onto it. It'll be a little bit of a different thing. And that will be done going forward, and will be part of the membership stuff that kicks in next week as additional new content. As I said yesterday, everything on the channel stays exactly the way it is. Whatever's here right now stays free, stays as it is. So nothing to worry about, just additional stuff. And it will be available on the main channel as well and on Spotify as well. So nothing to worry about. Let's get into this and we'll start off because there's plenty to talk about. And we'll start off with some good news in the underage setup. And Max McFadden has signed his first professional contract for Leeds United. The 17-year-old really impressed last season with the under 18s and plays all the way across the attacking areas of the park. Although last year's season with the under 18s, he did predominantly play as a winger. McFadden has signed his first ever professional deal, and it's great to see another young player coming into the professional ranks at Leeds United. So best luck to Max over the next couple of years, and I hope everything works out for you, Max. Let's move on, talk about the cup details, and details of Leeds Carabao Cup have been released. Leeds will play Shrewsbury Town on the 9th of August. That game will now kick off on Wednesday, 9th of August at 7:45 p.m. So a midweek game for anyone interested in travelling to that game. It's at Ellen Road, so not travelling far. Leeds transfer update. So we heard earlier this week Daniel Farke talking about the need to move quickly with staffing and player decisions. Well, he hasn't wasted any time at all. Yesterday we saw serious moves behind the scene and a bit of a clear out happening in the staffing. We saw coaches leave. We saw Michael Scugott-Bala go back and take over the 21 side from Paco Gallardo. And we saw the exit of Marcus Abad from the club as well as Jordan Davison from the analytics side of it as well. And Farke installed his own people. Well, he's now moved on to the playing staff, and Phil Hay was talking yesterday as part of the Square Ball podcast, and Phil has shared some details on the likely incomings and timing of those incomings. Phil basically said that incomings will start very soon. He said next week's more than likely. He said today, Friday, probably wouldn't happen. A bit too short, but it's likely. He also went on to say that he's been told that players are ready to sign and have agreed to sign for Leeds and are ready to go. So we should see that happening next week. Nick Hammond has been enrolled for 3 weeks and has been busy behind the scenes lining up transfers. And Daniel Farke did let it slip last week in his interview that he had been speaking with Leeds about movement and players and stuff behind the scenes before he signed his deal on Tuesday. So it seemed like the deal may have been agreed slightly earlier than they said. And Farke was getting to grips with who he wanted in and who he wanted out pretty quickly. We saw the exit of Robin Koch yesterday, player who didn't want to be at Leeds. So, if they don't want to be here, better to move on. I'm the most active agent in football. But Robin Koch has now finished his time at Leeds United and has moved to Eintracht Frankfurt. And Leeds will be looking to bring in some new players to fill the gaps that will be left in the coming weeks, with players likely to exit pretty soon. So, who are these players? Who are we looking at bringing in? Well, we'll start with Joe Piroe, which will make a lot of people very, very happy. And according to The Athletic, the Dutch striker is back on Leeds' radar. It was said that Leicester had made a move to sign the Swansea striker. Who's a price tag of about £20 million, apparently. But apparently Leeds are now said to be very interested in the player and have gotten back involved in the negotiations to sign him. However, if they don't do that, Leeds have a backup option in place. And according, again, to the same people, they reckon that Nottingham Forest's Sam Sturridge is another likely move for Leeds should they not land Piroe. Sturridge, only 24, scored 8 goals in 37 appearances for Forest, most of them off the bench. Had a spell at Bournemouth as well, scoring 4 goals in 35 games for them, and a series of loans around the country. He's never got into double figures with his goals, but he is still pretty young. And he does have a goal in 3 games for the England 21 side as well. So at different end of the scale. I kind of feel like you should buy both of those players if you're going to buy them. We've got enough kind of young up-and-coming strikers. So maybe it's just a smoke screen. Maybe it's just another option to throw out there to keep people guessing what Leeds are doing. Who else? Well, there's some more, apparently, and an ambitious midfielder move is also likely, according to Phil Hay. And we reported this and we shared the information a couple of weeks ago that Gustavo Hamer was a interest of Leeds United and kind of went quiet then for a bit. But according to Phil Hay, again, the midfield is a key area for Leeds to sort out this summer. And he is saying that Coventry's Gustavo Hamer and Bristol City's Noah Masango are 2 players that Leeds will likely make a move for and would like to bring into the side. Hamer will cost a bit more, probably because there will be interest in the player. Masango is in the final year of his contract at Bristol City, and the 21-year-old would be liable for compensation should Leeds sign him because he's 21 years of age. So Leeds would have to pay some fee. Even though there's a reduced fee on this with one year remaining on his contract. So it remains to be seen, but there's two more midfielders Leeds are having a look at. Players who want to stay at Leeds, and this is what you want to hear. Well, according to Leeds Live, Max Wober has made it clear that he intends to stay at Leeds United this summer. This is despite Leeds United relegation, and the Austrian international, who made a huge difference last season when he did come in and play for Leeds, now looks, have said to sources to Leeds Live, so pinch of salt always, he has said that he wishes to stay at Leeds and remain. He's only been here since Christmas, cost Leeds 10 million. He was excellent when he was fit and played for Leeds, and I think if you have him at your back line, it's a really strong statement going into the championship season that could really help you. Leeds need a strong spine. They need a really strong spine, centre-back pairing, centre-midfield pairing, striking options, and that would be a huge start. Speaking of players who wanted to leave Leeds and now want to come back, apparently, let's talk about Charlie Taylor. And according to Phil Hay, Leeds are pondering a decision to make a move for the Burnley defender. Taylor spent most of last season playing centre-back for Burnley in their promotion race, but now looks like he's free to move from Burnley. All the time, Charlie Taylor wanted to leave Leeds to get to the Premier League, and here he is with a team that got promoted to the Premier League, possibly coming back to Leeds. Taylor did leave Leeds in controversial circumstances, and you can argue over whether you believe what Gary Monk said or not. I personally do. He refused to play in the game against Wigan the last day of the season after what had been 6 to 7 months worth of very loud noises behind the scene from his agent about Taylor wanting to move away from Leeds United and get a move to the Premier League. It should also say this agent is also the same agent that Sam Byram had the previous year, who did the exact same thing and constantly forced issues with Leeds trying to push a sale for Sam Byram to the Premier League. It didn't work out particularly well for either two of them. They haven't gone on to get England caps. They haven't gone on to make huge impressions in the Premier League. Sam Byram, the last I saw of him, was playing left back for Norwich. So Taylor is a potential move there. Is he a good left back at championship level? Yes, he is. Would I want a player to play for Leeds again who didn't want to play for Leeds and refused to put on that shirt once? No. So for me, I wouldn't want him back. And again, it's on Twitter. You can get into the comments if you want to. I'd rather you didn't. But you can argue whether you believe what Gary Monk said or not. I remember this situation very clearly, having lived through it. And I remember everything that was being said at the time. And Gary Monk was very comfortable in his job at the point when this stuff happened. And let's move on and talk about players who Leeds want to retain. And according to Phil Hay, Leeds are going to do everything in their power to retain the services of Jack Harrison and Willie Gnonto. Hay said that Leeds are not intent on letting Gnonto go and see him as a big part of their promotion push and what they plan on doing in the Premier League. It also should be said that they said they want to hang on to Jack Harrison as well, but there is serious interest from the Premier League in Jack Harrison as well. From Everton and Newcastle have been mentioned again, as are Spurs floating around the scenes on that one as well. Villa are very keen on bringing in Willie Gnonto, but according to The Guardian, they're claiming that a £40 million fee will be needed. If you go through all the different publications over the last couple of months about Willie Gnonto, I've seen fees of 13 million from the Sun, I've seen 12 million from the Star, there's been 25 million, 30 million thrown around. This is the first 40 million, this one's from The Guardian. I'm likely to believe Phil Hay when he says Leeds have no intent on selling the player, rather than The Guardian saying Leeds a £40 million price tag on his head. So I'd lean with Phil on this one. And then moving on to the second last story of the day. We're flying through this because there's loads. Leeds want Tyler Adams to stay this summer. According to the Yorkshire Evening Post, Leeds are keen to retain Tyler Adams as well. And they said the 49ers have identified Adams as a key part of what they want to do with this club moving forward. It will be tough, and Leeds will have their work cut out to retain the USMNT captain, who has got interest in the Premier League. Aston Villa again being mentioned with him. Manchester United also having a look around, as well as teams on the continent and in Germany who are keen to bring him in as well. Leeds want to keep him. It'll be a tough job. He has reported back for training and is currently working through an injury. So keep an eye on that one over the next week or so and see what happens. And then finally, just to let you know, the Leeds and Manchester United game that will take place next Wednesday in Norway will be televised on LUTV. If you want to get information on that, head over to leedsunited.com and you can check out the packs that are available for the preseason tours or preseason games that will be taking place this year. So, yeah, a lot happening. A lot happening since Monday. We talked on Monday about having some movement and liking to see some stuff. And since Tuesday, the point of Daniel Farke, we've seen coaches go out, sponsorship deals, new gears. And now we're starting to see players that are being linked. And if we're going off what Phil Hay said, players are already lined up, have already agreed to sign for Leeds. And now it's just a matter of pulling the plug early next week to get these players in, done and dusted. So it could be an exciting week for Leeds. And the players that I mentioned will be exciting players to bring in to Leeds and will give Leeds a very strong side. Players that are being looked at by teams in the Premier League as well. So, you know, if they do get into the Premier Division, it's a strong squad to build on from there as well. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today, folks. there will be the podcast out over the weekend. It'll drop on the channel probably on Saturday, and will be available on Spotify on Saturday morning as well. So if you want to check that out, this week we've got Lockie and Kate joining me as well as Chris from the American and Leeds podcast as well. So nice diverse group of people with lots of different opinions for tonight's podcast. So that'll be available tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, morning-ish time for you to check out. So check that if you want to. I will talk to you on Monday, where it should be a very busy week for Leeds. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll talk to you Monday. See ya. Bye.